Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's the Not Worth Listening To podcast, episode 2. I have not come up with a better name, so deal with it. If any of you are returning from episode 1, thank you so much. You are clearly gluttons for punishment. You just keep coming back. All right, I love people like that. So yeah, give me more. Yeah, I know it wasn't good. I'll take a little bit more. I wish you could see just how budgetless this operation is. I've got this, I'm holding like a stage microphone. You know, like the type that you would hold on stage, a stick. And I kind of like pace around in my living room while I'm doing this. And I don't think anyone else is doing podcasts. So it seems unusual to me, but like, it's good. Like if I can move around on my feet a little bit, it helps me think. And hopefully I won't trail off into some stoned, wordless void where you have nothing to listen to. Man, in the 70s, microphones were a big deal. Like if you go back and watch like some Conway Twitty videos or something, like back on, even on Hee Haw and shit, like when somebody was holding a microphone, it was like a big shining fucking piece, like a big glittery, it was a big deal. It's like, we've got microphones on this fucking show. We want them to look nice. And I appreciate that. Electronics have lost all of their flair, Like, everything today is just black. Like, every electronic is just black, a black square, black. Like, the last time that I remember electronics having any flair to them was like in the early 2000s. Like, remember when everything was silver? It would have like useless glass on it or like gel. A lot of shit had gel at the time. It's like, make it clear, put some gel on it. People like to touch something and feel gel. It's luxurious. No, like that shit did not stand the test of time. As somebody who sells old shit for a living, like anything that has gel on it has desiccated. The gel is leaking everywhere. It's like zombie cum. It's really hard to get off of everything. It's a nightmare. I go through Goo Gone like gallons of milk, like a bottle a month. All I do is remove sticker goo. A lot of people ask me what I do for a living. I guess I can talk about it. I am self-employed. I sell shit on eBay for a living, which I guess is kind of an unusual occupation. Like, I've never met anyone else that does what I do. And everyone thinks like it's awesome. They're like, "Oh fuck, you're self-employed?" Like, dude, if I didn't have a boss, I would literally jerk off from morning till night. And you know what? Yeah, that's within the realm of possibility for me. But let me tell you, that gets old quick. And then like you realize like, oh man, I jerked off with all the time I needed to make rent. It's terrifying. Being self-employed is absolutely fucking terrifying. Like, yeah, there's some freedom to it, for sure. Like, I don't have anyone telling me when to get up or when to go to bed. I don't have to go to awful meetings with people I don't like. But at the same time, like, I never realized this until I didn't have it anymore. But, like, there's some kind of comfort that's derived from having an employer. Like, they take care of everything. They're the ones that make sure this business exists next week, and I just have to show up and do my things and go home, and that's it. And there's something to be said for that. But like, when everything depends on you, that's scary. Like, I started out selling video games. I worked at Goodwill, and this was back when I collected video games, but I don't do that anymore. But at the time I did. I had a little collection. And I had some spares. And I'm like, well, this is before Facebook Marketplace and shit, so I'm like, I can either try to sell these on Craigslist or blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, why don't I find out how hard it would be to eBay? You know, I've bought things on eBay. How hard could it possibly be for me to take a picture of something, put it on a website, throw it into an envelope, put a sticker on it, and put it into a mailbox? Like, it couldn't possibly be that hard, right? And I did it. I sold some game I had for like $50 or $60, and I'm like, wow. Like, you know, I'm doing the math in my head. Like, that would have been like I would have had to work like a whole fucking shift to make that much money at my regular job, and like, I barely had to lift a finger to do this. So I just used it as like supplemental income for years while keeping my regular job. But, you know, eventually I did get fired. Like, I think I became a worse employee as I made more money outside of work, to the point where I was like part-time. And then I remember what happened. I got like some kind of stomach flu, and like I think I had a few days of sick time. I used them up. And then I'm at home and I'm like, I'm shitting my brains out. I feel awful. And I'm like, fuck. Should I go back? Like, do I really need to? And I remember I did go back one day, and I stood I stayed for a couple hours. I'm just like, dude, fuck this. This fucking, like, I'm not making enough to be here. It's not worth my time anymore. But like, for whatever reason, I didn't want to let go. I didn't want to let go. Like, I was only working like 12 hours a week at the end or something. Like, what was the point of that? I remember getting the paychecks from that period, and I'm like, yeah, this doesn't make any sense. Like, we trick ourselves when we like give them our whole week, and then we're like, oh, look at that big check. It's like, dude, they're fucking you. They're fucking us. You gave up so much time for that. Like, there's so much fucking time that they siphon away from us, and we don't get compensated for it, not properly. But yeah, it is scary being and then I eventually got fired, and I was just like, well, I'm not really prepared for this, but I'm gonna try to just make it on my own. And like, almost right after that, the pandemic happened. And I remember the only reason I was able to survive the pandemic was I sold my entire video game collection. So like, as the world was like, are we going to be alive next year? There's like people literally collapsing in the streets. There's someone out there was like, I've got money to buy a Mega Man cartridge from this guy. God bless those people. I'm sure some of them are dead. But, you know, they got that stimmy check, and they're like, it's time to fucking flesh out my Mega Man collection. This is the this is the opportunity I've been waiting for to finally complete this worldwide health catastrophe. Boy, capitalism is kind of beautiful sometimes. But after all the video games were gone, like, I got out of selling video games too. Like, I did a lot of video game reselling for years there, but it just became unbearable. Like, it's too fucking blown up, man. Like, if your mom has even the slightest clue that a Nintendo game might be valuable, that means this industry is fucked. Like, this market is fucked. Like, if your mom has an idea about it, too many people know. It's over, all right? This is a flooded market. And that's the problem with video games. That's why I had to branch out. Like, and the video game resale secondary market is dominated by men that I like to call Nintendo men. And, like, I like to think I was never a Nintendo man. But basically, a Nintendo man is someone who tries to, you know, do what I do for a living, but the only thing they know anything about is Nintendo. Like, they don't know anything about antiques. They don't know anything about other electronics. They know nothing about collectibles or the value of any other kind of device. All they understand is old video game. And they're awful. They're all like fat, slovenly, and aggressive and rude. Like, when I worked at Goodwill, we had a couple of them that would come in and be like, these video game prices are ridiculous, man. How am I supposed to flip this at the market for a profit? I'm like, I don't care. I don't give a shit if you make money Sunday at the fucking market. God, then like, you see them, I know, if you go to garage sales and shit, I know you've seen Nintendo men. Because they always bother whoever's running it. Like, you got any video games? You got games? Hey, you got any games in the house? And, like, they don't approach properly. And, like, they don't understand that they look like a shitbird and that their tone of voice is all wrong. And people who probably do have some of that shit in the basement or whatever are just like, no, get out of my yard, all right? You're creeping out my kids. You're 40 years old. Why are you wearing a shirt with a cute little character on it? Get back in your car. I still have a few shirts with characters on them, so I guess I can't talk too much shit there. But yeah, that's what those guys are like, and I had to get out of that. Like I recently, I had my cousin like found the robot that used to come with the NES, Rob the Robot. He like found it in the box in a dumpster at a fucking storage lot or something. He's like, dude, you can have this for $100. And I'm like, no, nah, you can keep it. Why don't you bring Robert home and wipe him off a little bit and put him on Facebook Marketplace or something? He's like, dude, seriously? Like, come on. Like, you just looked it up and saw that you could get like $200 or $300 for it. And I'm like, yeah, I know. But like, then I have to deal with Nintendo people. They're awful. They're awful subhuman mongrels. And they don't deserve a human designation. They're hideous. Like, all of my eBay negative feedback is from like someone who spent $4 on a fucking video game manual and it got delivered to the wrong address or something. They're such big fucking babies about everything. It's like, the pictures didn't show that this had fingerprints on the label. It's like, does your wife even love you anymore? Sir, I know that's over the line. But, like, surely, like, you've got something else in your life that's more important than this. Like, this is how men become Karens, is when they're returning a video game cartridge to me because the label's not as nice looking as they thought it would be. But yeah, what I do, like, for a while there after I, like, started to get away from video games, like, I literally lived out of thrift shops. Like, I would go out like 2 or 3 days a week and put like 200 miles on the car going to every fucking thrift store that you've ever been to within a 100-mile radius of downtown. No shit. And like, I literally lived off of VCRs and old TVs for about 3 years. But just recently I started getting into building old computers, which it's so much fun. I love building old computers. Like, you know how if you want to play old Sega Genesis or Super Nintendo games, you can just kind of go to the store and buy a fucking toy that has every game for the system built into it and it hooks up to your TV and it's all really easy to go back in time? Well, that does not exist for computers. There is no PC Mini with fucking Roller Coaster Tycoon on it at Target. You know, like, the only way to do that is to come through some small-time weirdo like me who gets spare parts together and builds machines and gives them cute little names. I've had so much fucking fun building these things. And they've finally brought some more cash into the old bank account, too, which was sorely needed. I have rattled on for 15 minutes about what I do for my bread. You're probably bored. I have a couple notes here. I already talked about the state of thrift. Dumb cars. Everyone in America drives a fucking car that they don't need. I'm just letting you process that for a second because it's true. Like, how many empty pickup trucks do we have to have rolling down the highway with one Trump voter inside of it before somebody says something? Like, you're wasting fuel. You have the nerve to complain about the price of gas. Do you know what supply and demand is? You burn 4 times as much gas doing everything that you need to. All these guys who own these vanity trucks, like, if you think about it, like, I know you've got a few of them in your life right now. Could they get all of their shit done with a little hatchback? Could they go to the store and pick up 2 bags and go home in a Ford Fiesta? Yes, they could. But that car would make them feel gay. Oh, poor little guys. Can't be caught dead in a little hatchback or people might not think I'm a man. I got to have the F750 with a V12 engine. Make sure everything is blacked out. I want the maximum window tint. Okay, I am a celebrity. Okay, people want to look at me. And I don't want to be looked at. These windows need to be dark. And give me LED headlights that are so bright that they burn the paint off of other cars, okay? I am an aggressive, unaccountable, dangerous toddler, and you will fear me. That's what those trucks say to me. If you've ever listened to my comedy sets, I have a a bit where I make fun of the Ford Raptor pickup. It's the flagship pickup truck of spousal abuse. If you want to hear more, you'll have to just come hear me in person. Yeah, I think people should be either motivated with laws and like financial incentives to get rid of these. Like, Americans are buying more giant vehicles than they ever have in history. And like, gas is going to go away soon. Like, what the fuck are you doing? You're not going to be able to get to 200,000 miles on some of these before they become unviable. They're just all going to get scrapped. Some of them don't even have computer chips because they were all out of stock during the pandemic. So you're going to have a truck that never got its computer that now runs on a fuel that you can't buy anymore. Oh, man, I got to get in on the ground floor of that. I remember years ago I would be like, we got to get in on the ground floor of taking all these gun collections off boomers when they croak and selling them. And I never did it. And I'm sure someone else is out there doing it right now. They probably named their company Your Dead Dad's Guns. And he's on a fucking beach in Tahiti right now sucking on a mojito. What could have been? Well, I guess that'll be enough for today. 17 and a half minutes. Guys, if you stuck with this to the end, you're a true friend. You come out to one of my little shows and I'll give you a hug. Smoke a little weed with you. All right, guys, keep the faith. Stay frosty. Stay sexy. I love you. Have a great day.